And then you have the other option, which is you might be made a prisoner. So the Imperials might take you as a prisoner. You put on your prisoner jumpsuit that is issued to you, and who knows what the Empire will be doing to you at that point.
What's up, dude? Welcome.
What's happening?
Man, you look awesome. I love it.
Yeah, you gotta dress up for the role, you know?
Hell yeah. Did you wear, I think you wore your stuff last time, didn't you?
I think so. I usually try to sport it when I'm on podcasts, so.
Yeah.
Just so people know that we're actually serious about being ridiculous.
We're serious about not being serious, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Hell yeah. So listen, man. Well, before we start, let me give a shout out to sponsor Skirmesh. If you guys have not been able to play, or if you guys haven't had a chance to play with the Skirmesh system yet, if your local field does not have it, go ask the field owner or the manager about it. See if they can hook it up over there, because it is amazing.
Yeah, so on the note of Skirmish, we used it at our most recent event, Battlefront Boulevard.
Yeah.
We had over 20 different capture points available on the field using the Skirmish system, which was, to that time, the most capture points that have been used at a game. So we're proud to boast those numbers.
Right. Yeah, good on you guys, man. I talked to Brandon just a couple weeks ago, and he's actually this is why I talked with the guy, KDK Airsoft, and I talked with him, Kyle, just last week, and he and I were talking, and he said the same thing. Brandon talked about your event, and then Kyle talked about your event with the Galactic War, and about using Skirmish out there and how it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I can give a little feedback on the whole system and how it went.
Hell yeah.
I would have to say, out of 10, the ease of getting it up and running, there was no really technical difficulties when we were setting it up. And if you guys have ever been out to the Rock Airsoft, they have what I would say to be probably one of the most challenging fields in terms of getting the system up and running, because it's a giant old rock quarry. So this rock quarry, legit, huge amounts of telemetry going on. You've got canyons, you've got ravines, you've got just about everything that exists that could probably screw up the Skirmish system. And there was no bugs on it at all. Everything worked flawlessly from the part of the system. There was a bit of training the players to make sure they're using the system right, and how they're scanning in for respawns and capturing an area is as easy as tapping this. And I'm sure there were some people that weren't paying attention during briefing, and they had to get updated throughout the event. But man, it worked as well as it could, and being one of the main admins out on the field and just watching the system work and doing what it needed to do at any given time.
Yeah.
It was awesome to seeing players just interacting in different areas, capturing points, contesting points, respawning at certain areas. We put the system really to its test and its limit in every box. We wanted to try out the different functions on different ones during each iteration of the game. And we really put it through its paces, and we couldn't have been happier with how the system performed out at Battlefront Boulevard. So we're bringing it back for sure, 100% for Fate's Grasp, and it's really going to be something that is going to be a staple for the Galactic Civil War events going forward, because not only do you have your capture ability, setting the points to basically a contest mode, but we also have the ability to set up those boxes in different ways that are going to help with the LARP event. Whether there are like, destructible targets or, certain select respawn points or fobs that can be moved around the game. Different things like that will help immerse the players more. And from an admin side of stuff, it couldn't have been easier because you don't have to run everywhere to do things. You can interact with it from a central location and change stuff around, or even have presets ready to go. So if you want to flip something to a certain game style, you can just click a button and boom, you're doing this sort of gameplay.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And when Brandon brought it up to me a couple weeks ago when we talked about it, I said, "Holy cow! I didn't even think of that, man! Like using it in these LARP events, instead of just like the regular mill sims that don't really have a whole lot going on as far as it's like some real basic couple of capture points or whatever. But with LARP events, you've got all kind of stuff going on because of the story and because of the characters. So you can set these boxes up. Like he was like, man, it was really pushing my limits, like ideas and how to program these boxes for special things, on the field.
Yeah, and I think that's what the partnership between Galactic Civil War and Skirmish is doing is, we're doing a lot of things that a lot of different production companies don't even want to touch on, just because the nightmares it can create during gameplay. But with the newer event series like ours, I mean, we're looking at the 4th event going forward here. You'd still think of, we want to keep pushing boundaries. I mean, we want to keep growing interactions between the player base and, what can be done in an event and how to grow the immersion. And that's why, working with Brandon at Skirmish has been awesome because he's like, well, I don't think I've ever had anyone ask to do that, or, I don't really see the implication of doing that in a game. But then you start explaining to him, how different LARP events work and, different aspects that you can throw into the game there, where you wouldn't think of it when you're just thinking of a straight force-on-force aspect design. You're factoring in that there might be 2-3 main factions and then a bunch of sub-factions that players can join and do missions for, and, different ways that you can utilize the capture points or the devices in order to, tell a story, whether it's as simple as like patrol missions, like having 4 different boxes set up on the field. And now you have one faction that can check in for these patrols and they have to go to those 4 different points. It's not so much about, holding the areas or doing the things, but it's a way to tell that these players have touched these 4 different places in the last hour to complete their patrol mission. So you think about Galactic Civil War and you think of a squad of stormtroopers going on patrol. They need to go do their lap around the field, and the skirmish system is keeping track of all of that for the admin purposes. So once they check back in after completing their successful circuit of patrolling, they know that they got rewards coming to them, so they can get paid out for that successful patrol.
Oh, that's cool. So they go around and they check in on these boxes. It's like a check-in point where you can see in real time, okay, now they're here, now they're there.
Yep. And you can set time limits to it too. So they might have 30 minutes to complete this or 45 minutes to complete it. And if they don't check all those boxes by the time that the mission is over, then they fail that mission. They fail that task. And that doesn't mean that they can't, start over again and try it out again. But who knows what their commander will give them as their next task as they rotate the team through these different missions and objectives.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so I didn't yeah, that's right. So it could be where, let's say there's 4 checkpoint boxes. It's 4 skirmish boxes set up on this one mission, right? And they have to complete checking in at each one of those boxes in a certain time limit.
Yep.
Oh man, that's crazy.
And
even just that little thing right there really changes the. It really changes the game because it adds some excitement and urgency, a sense of urgency to your missions.
Exactly. I mean, as simple as that is just like it is legit mundane task as patrolling, that you've given it this quantifiable objectives that, yep, you have to hit here, 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 and here, and then you can check back out. And then looking at I participated in Extra Sports Wisconsin. They run the Tarkov event very frequently. And this is one thing that I was talking with Chris, the owner there, is like, this skirmish system would be really great to utilize for Tarkov, which, is just like a looter shooter where you get deployed in certain areas and then you have to like make it to an extraction point. Well, the skirmish system can do that, where you have a point where you scan in at, and then that's your active. So then you have, you can set up the same thing where you have to go, to 1, 2, 3, however many you want to set as the challenge to like get to the center of town, and then you have to go to extract, which could be set up as a different point. It doesn't have to be the same box. So you could have these players, these squads spawning into the game, and then having to move to certain points that the system is all keeping track of. And then once they collect those 3 different spots on the map, which causes players, to move around the map instead of, just getting in, getting a good piece of loot and then getting out, it can cause, more drama or more combat, because now you have to have the players moving around the map in order before they can even get out of the map. And the same thing can be done with our Galactic Civil War events in certain ways for certain missions, whether it's smugglers or anything like that, where we can set those same rules in that same rule set with these boxes. And it doesn't have to all be just about, going to a point and capturing it, or going to a point and destroying it. You can add a whole different layer to everything.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, that's. I'm really glad you guys are doing that, because I feel like it's a good place to push the limits on it, like you said, and test it, because you guys, like you've already created this this environment for your milsim, your LARP event. You've already created this really in-depth story, obviously Star Wars based and that kind of thing, which a lot of people love. And so you're offering more at your milsim, more than just capture this checkpoint, right? It's so even if you're testing out this new system, right, for you guys, the skirmish system, and maybe it doesn't go great, maybe it goes okay, whatever. It's not going to ruin the experience for everyone there, because they're there for the story as well. And don't you guys for this event, don't they do they carry over, like their character progresses through the storyline, and it carries from the last one, so they have a lot more incentive to be there than just capture this one. So like if a bigger milsim event that's every year, that's just a force on force, taking over a couple objectives, whatever, if that tried out skirmish and it didn't go that great, people might have a bad taste in their mouth from the whole event, because they're like, we couldn't really take this thing, or we couldn't, it didn't work right or whatever. But you guys, what a great experience to have, where you can test this thing out and kind of push the limits and try out different ways to use the boxes, and it's not going to ruin the event,
And really, the missions, the objectives are all, it's all based on, what you can do with your imagination with them. Because at the end of the day, they're just, boxes on a wall that will turn certain colors if you do certain things.
Yeah.
It's the additional story that you're placing around everything, the mission briefings you're doing before, the information you're getting out to players about certain things that are going on at that time. All of that helps just build the immersion within the event, because now you have these things that are touchable, it's interactable, and then that gets the player more involved in the mission, opposed to go over to that pile of wood and hold that for 30 minutes. You could have it set up as a destructible thing that, hey, this comm relay station needs to be attacked by the rebels. And the Imperials might have 4 or 5 different objectives on the map that could be destroyable at that time. But they don't know exactly who's going to be attacking what and where. So instead of just being like, all right, you guys defend this right now, and the rebels, you guys go attack this right now, you could have it set up where there might be 2 or 3 different factions moving against the Imperials in different ways, and the Empire using the information that is given from the skirmish system to react and try to thwart those actions. Because you could set up, like I said, one of these comm relay stations that might be the rebels' primary objective at that time to go destroy, to be a destructible area. So once they get to it, they can essentially arm a bomb at that location, and the skirmish system you could see it in live time that, hey, someone just armed a bomb at this area. We've got 30 minutes to go there and disarm it. And everybody who has the skirmish system loaded up on their phone, I mean, it's like straight up just a website, so you can pull it up at any time, but the Imperial Command will have it up and running and be like, all right, we need to go send a force over here to disarm the bomb at the relay station, because that could potentially disrupt comms from the Imperial Command for a short time. So there's different facets to the missions and the goals behind everything and the repercussions that happen if, someone succeeds or someone loses.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Okay. Yeah. What was the, everyone's kind of take on it? Did they, did you guys have the bracelets like this one where it was individual?
We did something a little different.
Okay, you guys had the regular handout ones.
We have
the anonymous ones or whatever.
We use something even different, even more different, because we're weird. So on here, you can see this.
That's right.
This is our chain code card system.
Yes. So I remember you telling me about this last time.
Yeah, every single player gets one of these.
Yeah.
And you can't really see it on this because it's translucent or whatever.
Right.
But each of the symbols on there means something else. One of these sides is your class, so that gets punched as you get, signed up for the event, and you choose your class. And basically, you're locked into your class until you pay credits to change it, or you become a hero character, which costs an absurd amount of credits, and you can gain a secondary class. So you can, become someone who is not only good at like opening lock boxes and hacking into things and using 2 pistols or a single pistol is your kit limitations as an operator or a scoundrel. You could also double down and become a hero and gain the heavy class as well, which allows you to use a heavy repeater, so a giant ass blaster that can use full auto.
Yeah.
You can pool those 2 together and upgrade into that hero character and get those 2 different classes. But going on the card there, there's different unlockables, whether it's full auto for your replica, additional thermal detonator carrying capacity, so you get to carry more, grenades that go boom. You can also get like a medical droid, so something, a little buddy droid on your back that can bring you back to life using your own Bacta vials. And then, again, Bacta vials themselves, which are used to bring other players to life. Essentially your buddy magic system, but they're done with individual vials that essentially you dump out when you revive someone, and that's your Bacta vial to heal them.
Yeah. So
you have all these different upgrades on your chain code card, but then we also have the skirmish chip on the card as well. You can see that like this. Yep. So you take out your chain code card and you can scan in and then stash your chain code card away again. Now, other players awesome. Who have, the bands, or, we've seen people start to like build it into their band braces and stuff like that, where, they're using that kind of Star Wars techie vibe with their equipment. They've also done that too if they've already owned a band or they had their card from before. But by default, everyone gets one of these and not like a band, because they need to have this on them at all times on the field, because essentially that's the way our admin staff can audit a player and audit their gear to make sure that they're not flubbing the lines of what their character has earned.
Yeah, that's now that skirmish chip that's in there, is that the kind that tracks where they can create a profile on the skirmish system, or is it the anonymous one?
Nope, it's one that they can straight up
really
create their own profile on there too.
Oh, so they could they go on and see what they've done on that?
Yep.
On that event? Oh, that's awesome.
So it's essentially the chip that they utilize in the skirmish gloves.
In the gloves?
Yep. So it's the same chip that they use there, but we're just using it in a little bit more limited factor because essentially at the end of the event you're turning this chain code card and your chip back in.
Yeah.
So I mean that stays with your character and will get reissued to your character as they come back in. But it's more for us as an event provider and event coordinator. We want something that players can like jump in, they can get a hold of. They don't necessarily need to buy a band.
Right.
But even after the event started rolling out, people started seeing the added value of having a band or like buying the glove set because it's quicker. You know, it's faster to interact with these devices, and they don't have to worry about accidentally dropping their chain code card on the ground and then losing that and losing their character progress.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, for them, they started seeing the value of like, oh, yep, let me get one of those wristbands, or yep, let me get a set of gloves. So,
yeah, I really think this is going to be a big thing that's going to take off in the next couple of years, like this year, with events like you guys are doing. You know, the LARP heavy events with these story driven things. I think Skirmish is going to work really, really well with that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's cool.
We saw at Battlefront Boulevard, we're over 120 players at that one, so we'd really like to see, you know, the events continue to grow because really that nice place for the areas that we're going to is probably around like 200, 250 players on the field without even like touching onto the NPC characters that exist that are like giving missions and quests. Especially when you look at what we're doing with what we call our LARP event, which is that continual event that will run for 30 hours straight. It's not like a sprint. It isn't like our Battlefront series where they're 2-hour iterations and everybody gets a break and then they go on the field and they switch. It's Battlefront is way more combat oriented. It gets people more involved with the cosplay side of things, and it also allows them to interact with our combat rule set, which may differ from a lot of airsoft events that they've played in before, because there's armor rules, there's your chain code card upgrades. It's a way, but at the Battlefront series, it's also a way for you to earn a good chunk of credits before you come out to a LARP event. So then you have a good platform for your character to enter at.
Dude, that's awesome. Now, did you get? I didn't look on your. I didn't see on your Instagram a bunch of the videos and pictures from like I did last time.
Yeah, I have more. There's more from the YouTube that came out. So the Battlefront Boulevard series, I mean, that was very action oriented. That was a very quick iteration. So there is some gameplay that came out of it, but it's not like the same kind of footage and imagery that you get out of just like the continual events that are going on.
Yeah, so people can go to your YouTube and see the video for the Galactic War.
Yeah, there's one from Battlefront Boulevard, which happened this last November. I had like a 2-minute teaser trailer or whatever that released from that one.
Yeah, that's actually I think the one I'm looking at now with the on your Instagram. Okay, the little teaser trailer.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm not trying to make this whole thing a skirmish promotion. I was really curious how it it worked in this environment, because I was talking about skirmish for quite a while, right, last year, and I was really excited to see somebody in a bigger setting besides like a indoor field use it for a bigger event or something like that. And then when I just heard about this, that you guys used it for this event, I was like, oh, dude, I need to talk to this guy, because that's what I was really excited about, to see how, how could all the different options you could use these boxes for.
Yeah. And Battlefront Boulevard, we did like 3 different iterations of game where we like reset the scoreboard and reset the game. So we had like 3 different main games that happened, and the scores tallied up for each one of those. And then we did one like night game and like a unique map that was just like the town that exists in Bolivar, this little village. So at night we can only play there because otherwise you fall down a mountain and you die.
Yeah.
But
Right.
but during the nighttime we're locked into this smaller area where it has its own unique map, and we had a map made of that too for the skirmish. So we moved the boxes around, put them into place there, and then turned on the game, and we ran for a couple hours for the night game. But the coolest thing that came out of using the skirmish system there is the ability to like go back to previous games that people have played, and you're able to watch those games unfold. Whether it's capturing different teams, capturing different points, and watching how just the event progresses in terms of score. And then you look at what we can do with the LARP event, where you can see the different objectives kind of changing and morphing over time on the recap that essentially will play from a 30-hour duration game. Before there were maybe 4-hour, 5-hour iterations that we're doing for Battlefront Boulevard. The Fate's Grasp is that 30-hour continuous event. So when you're watching the recap, you can like see, oh, cool, that's when we went and took this objective, and that's when we went over here and took this one, or this is when the Empire came through and they just like put their foot down and didn't let anything else happen for 4 hours. That you can all see that in the iteration of the game map, which is as a content creator, because when I originally started out with like this whole Mandalorian persona, I was like, oh, I'll start doing like YouTube stuff and like just kind of showing my journey of like how I'm making armor, how I'm like building helmets and that kind of stuff. And then you get into the aspect of going to these events and the stories that you can tell from those events. Ravisto is one of the guys that he does his YouTube stuff, and he's been to 2 of the events that we've done, both of the LARP, but he's been able to like share his story from the event and his certain point of view that he's experienced. And his videos are really fun to watch because you're seeing it just from a focused lens of an individual player, but then you look at the skirmish system and we're implementing that. And now you can tie that into your video, so you can kind of like give an overlay of the whole map, and you can see who owns what at that time, and then you can overlap it with your clips and make this really cool dynamic storytelling. Because one thing that I have an issue with is telling the story of the event as it's progressing, and I think a lot of YouTubers kind of fall to that same trap of trying to just put out like good, like I'm dominating the opposition gameplay clips, because that's where clicks are, that's where people can follow that.
Yeah.
But I think when you dig a little deeper and you're able to tell a story alongside what you're experiencing, that is also a great way for people to engage with your videos, because it's not just about the clickbaits and everything like that. It's about sitting down and like watching the story unfold and unfold before you.
Yeah. Yeah, people love stories, man. That's if you're good at telling stories, that really is long term. That's where you get a good following of people, just like your events. I mean, you guys are putting the time and effort into building this story and putting the effort into that, and it's you're going to have people that are really. I mean, it's way more fun. I feel like if you can create a character, like when you told me about this last year when you and I talked, and how your character carries over. And I had heard of this before with Grimnir Tactical. They do a similar type of event with their characters carry over and all their stats, and it continues and that kind of thing. So it's a very interesting concept to be. I feel like it's way more interesting than just the force on force, where you show up as a nobody, like a number, right? Like the military, like you're just you're not really, your character is not significant in that fight. It's so this character you create, you're carrying it over to the next one. It gives you something to look forward to and be excited about, and like, okay, what can I do in this event to advance my character? Like, what's gonna, so it kind of drives. It gives people way more incentive to interact and be active on the field.
Yeah, when we think of character development, at least Galactic Civil War wise, there's a lot of different layers that can be dug out. You can look at just straight up your chain code card character progression. Like, are you there to like min max your character? Get as many credits as you can to get as many of the unlocks as you can, so your character can be more effective in combat. They can carry more grenades. They can revive people more often. They can get themselves revived more often if they have the right equipment. But then at the same time, you look at, okay, what else is there to obtain? We've got like a Wookiee leather worker, and we've got a blaster shop and different things that exist on the field that you can also focus your attention to, because you may want to get like some new leather straps and leather pouches for your kit that you can buy with credits, and you can buy different blasters, and you can unlock different things for your character that may not be straight up combat effective. And then the thing that we're doing at this next event is we've kind of pulled away from these side main factions. We've had like the Outlaws, and we had Clan Vorpan, which is in the past, that's my clan. That's just the Mandalorians. If you wanted to be a Mandalorian, then you came and you're a part of Clan Vorpan. We've kind of shied away from those two as factions that you can sign up as, and we are making those strictly sub factions that you can become a part of through your actual actions in the game. So they're not something that you can like go in and buy a ticket for, as I want to be an outlaw, or I want to be part of Clan Vorpan. Like, we're making that legitimately part of the gameplay and part of your story building. So it's not so much as, clicking a button, then you're in, you're part of the group, you're part of the clan or whatever. There is additional gameplay aspects that come into making those things happen. So if you look at the Outlaws, there's still going to be criminal activities, but we're rolling out what it's basically what we call the Grand Theft Auto system of, we call it heat, right? So as you do more illegal things, or your character does more illegal things, there's a chance for them to accumulate heat, which is different. It is an orange armband that would go on their character, and that is essentially marking them as being a little bit more notorious, right? And then they start becoming targets for a different faction that exists, which is the Bounty Hunters Guild. So as a player, I could go join the Bounty Hunters Guild. I could pay 1,000 credits and get my Bounty Hunter's license. And as long as I don't have any heat on me, like I've done no crimes, I'm not a criminal, I can go and become a bounty hunter. And now I can gain credits by tracking down these players that have accumulated heat on them. So they've done illegal things. Maybe it's smuggling, maybe it's spice stealing, maybe it's assassinations, maybe it's certain things like that. And then I can make it my full-time job as a bounty hunter to go out and try to bring them in warm or bring them in cold. It doesn't matter. So I can make that my priority. And we've added a level-up system to that, too. So as a fresh bounty hunter, I can't go after someone who has 4 heat bands. But I could get 4 friends that are all fresh newbie bounty hunters to go in together to bring in that person who has 4 heat bands on them.
Right.
And that is, it's kind of that sense of camaraderie, but at the same time, if us all 4 go there to get him and bring him in, now we're all splitting the rewards from bringing in that character. And now you look at that character who has a bunch of heat on him as well. That is also, if you get brought in, if you have heat on you, you're paying credits to the Bounty Hunters Guild when you get brought in, as sort of, this is what you owe from your debt from society, or, that's the bounty that's on you.
Right.
So as a notorious player, and I have heat on me, these bounty hunters can bring me in, but now I have to pay credits in order to essentially, stay out of jail. If I don't pay credits, that person has 2 options. They can get put in carbonite, where they just literally have to stay in a building and do nothing for an amount of time.
Yeah.
They can join the Mercenaries Guild and pay off their debt, so they can get signed off to one of the other factions, the Rebels or the Imperials, and they get sent off to go, fight. And that's a way for you to stay active. But then you don't have the ability to make your own choices anymore at that time. You are locked into the war, the Galactic Civil War, for 2 hours. And then you have the other option, which is you might be made a prisoner. So the Imperials might take you as a prisoner. You put on your prisoner jumpsuit that is issued to you, and who knows what the Empire will be doing to you at that point. There's consequences, because when you enter these LARP games, a lot of times it's cool to do be the criminals or the pirates or whatever, but there's never any real consequences to your actions, because let's face it, it's all just like a game. And the worst thing that can happen is you can get killed, which essentially in airsoft is the same thing that happens to everyone when they get hit by a BB, which is, they go back and they respawn and they're back in it. And so there's really no drawbacks to doing crime or being notorious or anything like that. So we created this whole heat system and bounty hunter system as a way for these two sub-factions to continually be working against each other. One feeds off the other, and the other one can, as you gain more heat, these outlaws, these notorious players, you get different missions that are not only harder, but you're also a target for the Bounty Hunters Guild. So now there's, a target on your back, so now you have to be more stealthful about it. But then the credit payout, it continues to increase. So it may get harder to do stuff, may get harder to line up these jobs, but eventually you can be making a lot of credits if you keep doing this outlaw business well. So we've created this, kind of tiered pyramid to the outlaw world or criminal world, which in real life, that's kind of how things work. You've got your guys at the bottom, and then you got your kingpins up top for crime that can be making a lot of credits and having a lot of different interactions and different missions with each other. It's all built into the game. It's all part of, it's part of the unaffiliated team that you can join up with, which we are calling it, it's the choose your own adventure. You're not Imperial, you're not Rebel, you're not essentially part of the two warring factions of the Galactic Civil War, but you're existing in this world that we've created, and you're going to have to go make your own way. And one of the big drawbacks of being an unaffiliated, though, is you have to start paying credits for your respawns. In the galaxy far, far away, there's no universal healthcare, unfortunately. So if you get killed, you have to go back to the medical clinic, and you have to pay credits to get your respawn.
Okay.
So we describe the unaffiliated players. We would probably rate that as, in terms of importance, roleplay is up top. Combat can be it is what you make it, because there are a lot of things you can do as an unaffiliated player that is a combat class or a combat focused class that can work for you. But at the same time, if you join up as an unaffiliated player that isn't primarily focused on combat, but you're really good at role-playing and you're really good at having conversations with players and building relationships, you may have a better time making alliances and making credits through these alliances than you would if you went in, by yourself solo and trying to, an antisocial. So for those, you got to be able to work for it to earn credits. You can make a lot of credits if you do it right, but there's a good chance that a lot of our unaffiliated players are going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel to get by and not really making a lot of credits. They're just making enough credits to survive.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Man, how interesting. Yeah, I love the comparison with the Grand Theft Auto stuff. And it's at least you have options in your game, because in Grand Theft Auto, once you get so many stars, bro, they're not taking you, even just 1 star. They're not, I think it's 2 stars. 2 stars and on, they're not taking you in. They're not going to take you to jail.
Yeah.
It's you're dead. and then you got to pay a fee. You know, it automatically charges you a fee to get out of the hospital. So
Yep.
that's pretty cool that you guys are incorporating this whole intricate system into this, you know, other character stuff.
Yeah, and as of right now, when you're looking at total numbers, there's about as many unaffiliated players as there is Imperial and Rebel players that have bought their tickets for the event. And really, what we'd like to see is a combination between Rebel and unaffiliated equal to the number of Imperial characters. Because at this event, this is kind of the growth from the last event, is the Imperials have essentially taken control of Mosted 3, which before they just had set up as their research center, but now it has grown past that, and they are looking to essentially control the entire moon of Mosted 3, because as of last event, there have been a lot of shenanigans that have happened against and directly against the Empire, so they're not taking too kindly of that. So they have ownership of the township, they have ownership of essentially the main city, and a lot of their duties are, patrolling, even the things as like carrying a large-scale blaster in town is essentially illegal for anyone who isn't Imperial or who isn't someone who's doing a mercenary contract for the Imperials or licensed bounty hunters. Those are really the only ones that have the ability to carry full-size blasters. Everyone else who does so is kind of pinned as a disturber of the peace. So there could be fees attached with that, and there could be different things that the Imperials can do to those players in order for them to essentially, they have to store their big blaster. They can only carry around a blaster pistol. Because last event, there were too many people that openly acted against the Empire, and that caused this kind of rebuttal and this revision of law, because the local moth of the system sees this and is like, okay, going forward, no large scale blasters within the city of Vest, unless you're Imperial sanctioned bounty hunter or a mercenary under Imperial contract. So
oh wow,
that just ups the role play even more. So now in order for outlaws and rebels to get stuff done, they're going to have to conceal stuff. They're going to have smugglers move weaponry around town. If they're going to want to set up ambushes, they're going to have to do all these different things, which last event, you might have rebels strolling around town next to Imperials, and, they're just eyeing each other up because they didn't want to start anything at that point, because there really wasn't an objective just behind, slay each other in the streets of S. They're, setting up for their mission, setting up for their quest, getting intel. And now it's just taken that and flipped it on its head even more. So now you have this Imperial controlled sector that, the Empire is always watching and the thumb's always on them. So ideally, that's how we want our player numbers to fall in. So we're hoping we get more Imperial recruits to drop in here in the next, 2-3 months as we're leading up to the event.
Okay. Now, so what do you got? You got your printer going back there. What are you printing right now? What kind of stuff you working on?
Well, I can't tell you too much about that. No, that is actually that is one of probably 5. So we're talking about outlaws that exist in different sub-factions. You got the Hutts, who I think we all know who Jabba the Hutt is.
Yeah.
But then there's also a faction called the Pike Syndicate. So there is a mask for one of the members of the Pike Syndicate. They primarily trade in spice. So they're kind of one of the rival outlaw factions that exist on Vest, or in the city of Vest, who are trying to scrape out more territory for themselves. So we'll have quite a few pikes showing up on, Masta 3, who are doing their own thing or giving players quests to get them into their syndicate to do, whether it's spying or whatever, intel dropping or straight up smuggling of spice. There'll be those characters that exist wearing those pike masks and look like pikes from primarily you've seen them in the Book of Boba Fett is the most recent one, where they're like the primary like gang that's going up against Boba in that series.
Okay.
But yeah, other projects that I'm working on. So I'm working on with Brandon is we're doing a Predator shoulder cannon.
Uh-huh.
So I have an AEG on the inside, the gearbox, P90 gearbox built into it, and it has essentially 2 servos that control motion on that shoulder cannon. So as you this is where Brandon comes in, is he's helping cook up the hardware and the software for the head motion tracking. So there'll be a sensor in the helmet of this Mandalorian, if you will, that when you turn your head, whichever direction you turn it, it'll also turn the cannon to face that direction as well. So
whoa.
It's going to be a really cool piece of tech, and I had started working on it, and it was a commission for this gentleman that I was working on, and it started out. He's like, I just want like a 40 millimeter launcher on my shoulder. I was like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. But what if we did something cool? So it's kind of like dug myself into this hole of like what ifs. But that's exactly why I do some of these commission projects is because I kind of want to keep pushing my boundaries as a creator and a maker.
Yeah.
So the whole working on like an Arduino and doing that whole programming thing, that is still outside my realm. But at least I was able to vocalize what I needed out of the project. And Brandon is a freaking genius when it comes to technology, and he was able to help cook this up. And I had been using like a controller for a FPV headset. So for like flying a drone, it does the exact same thing as I'm describing. Is you can like put it on side of your goggles, and then like the servos are set up on your drone, and you can turn your head and it turns the camera, so it's like you're flying a FPV. The problem is with the design is the guys who are flying those planes are stationary, right?
Yep.
The only thing that turns is their head to turn where they're looking. And then once I got my prototype working, and I had it sitting on my shoulder, and I was standing there, I was turning my head, and everything was moving, and everything was awesome. Like, oh, this is perfect. Yeah. But then I turned to the side, and the cannon turned to the side as well, without me turning my head. It's like, oh no, I forgot something, that the wearer is going to be moving in 3 dimensions as well.
Exactly.
So kind of the sidestep around that is you will have 2 separate sensors, one that is fixed onto the shoulder, the other one that is affixed onto the helmet. And essentially it's able to tell the difference between the 2. So if the head turns, it's great. If both of them turns, then nothing happens. If the shoulder turns and the head stays straight, it's the same thing. There's going to be a change in where it's pointing, because in relation, the head has turned to the body, so the cannon is going to still be following the head no matter where the head is looking. So that's the next ante to that project, and he's making some real good headway on that already. So we should have that prototype working here in a couple more weeks, and we'll be able to give it some field testing. But yeah, it's got the feed system.
It's like a tank turret, yeah.
Yeah, it's got the BB feed system that runs up into it, and it's all connected by the same trigger, and it's got a remote trigger for the hand. So you just push a remote control, and it starts shooting the BB gun, and you let off, it stops firing. But at the same time, when you're holding down the button to fire, it's also running the speed loader, or the drum mag from the backpack up into the shoulder cannon. So you got like 2,000, 3,000 round capacity on it, so you don't have to worry about like reloading.
Yeah, right.
It's a capacitor every 10 seconds. Because when designing it, I was like, all right, so what's going to be the most functional? What's going to be the most fun, and what's going to be the least hassle? So we came up with like a really good surrounding project on that. That's just going to work out really well.
Man, I am so glad that you and Brandon hooked up, man, because you are definitely on the level with, the creation, the ideas with your, like you're doing now with the 3D printing and your suit and incorporating all this stuff into these games. And then Brandon, like you guys complement each other really well because you have some really good ideas and he's really smart with that, the tech side. And so this whole setup that you're talking about is going to be like a full system where it all runs from these controls, like your head, and then what are you going to have, the remote on your hand?
Yeah, essentially, it looks like a key fob for your freaking car if you want it.
Yeah.
So it's essentially you could use it in one hand. You can mount it onto your hand however you want, so it's easy to play. But that's the way I have it set up right now. It's not too complicated. It's literally a little thing that you could have in your hand. So not only could you have your shoulder cannon doing whatever you want it to do, but now you have essentially free hands. You can mount it onto your blaster too. So like you could be shooting this way, taking down someone, turn your head that way to start shooting at that person. Meanwhile, you're still covering this side because you can turn your eyes without turning your head. And now you've got two angles of engagement. You could essentially give yourself cover fire on this direction as you're moving, and then start laying down cover fire into a different doorway if you need to as well. So
I was just thinking of that, like mounting on the side of your foregrip or your gun or whatever, like like the pressure switches are for the lights and that kind of thing. Have it easy access.
So
that is cool, man.
Some really weird stuff that you definitely don't need to do, but we're going to do it anyway because it's going to be fun.
Dude, for real. And not only that, but look, with the time and effort you guys put in, whatever you're creating, it's like, things might break along the way, like in gameplay or something, but at least like once you create these things, like it's created, like it's done. And so you can just add to it. Man, that's very interesting.
Yeah,
and Brandon's good about that too because he's open to ideas and implementing them or trying new things out.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I was talking with Brandon about is, we're creating something that really isn't openly available to anybody at this point in time. I mean, the amount of people that are going to want this Predator shoulder cannon launcher and will want to do a commission project on it is probably, in the handfuls of numbers.
Right.
It's not something that you're like, ooh, let's create it, mass market it, mass produce it, and have fun with it. But the technology that goes behind it can be utilized in a lot more things for a lot different reasons. I mean, looking outside of Airsoft, and you're looking at just the cosplay community, like there's, hundreds of people who do Predator costumes that would love to have a Predator cannon that tracks, and now we've developed the hardware behind it that you can develop kits and sell those if that's the avenue we want to go with it. But then thinking at Galactic Civil War events, we've created something that essentially players could utilize for, say, a droid. So if they have one of those medical droids that's riding on their back, well, heck, you could rig up that system, rig up your GoPro, just a standard GoPro to it, and now it's looking wherever your head is looking, and it's alive and it's moving and it's twitching around as your body's twitching around. But now we've created like an in-universe way to do like a GoPro without, just the head. Yeah, you can stick a GoPro to your head and you get the same effect. But what if you had a freaking droid that was looking wherever you were looking, and now you can create this fun video through the eyes of your droid and not just like your eyes. So
absolutely.
And then, we get into the other factor of like, all right, once we start getting 200, 300 players at these events and we start getting some real funds to help grow the event, because every single dollar that goes into Galactic Civil War stays in Galactic Civil War. And that's something that we've harped on since the beginning, the iteration of our event is, you grow with speeder bikes and you grow with all these different things. And we've already done so many aspects, whether it's, the electronic juggernaut system that exists and, the credit system and all that. But now you're like,
that's smart.
Let's, if we start getting really good funds behind everything, now you're building like creatures and monsters, because because that's Star Wars too, right? There isn't a single Star Wars story that's been told that hasn't had, weird looking alien things that are trying to also kill the characters at the same time. So,
exactly.
You take that same head tracking motion and now you can like build a 3-headed raptor that like spits venom at people and stuff like that. That is all controlled with these servos and stuff. So we just keep building on our skill sets and building on our maker skills and, doing stuff with Brandon and building this different technology with the skirmish system as well, because now we can do there destructible skirmish capture areas, that are physical things like our juggernaut system that they can be destroyed within skirmish using the same system that exists with our electronic juggernauts, or building the skirmish system into our electronic juggernauts. So now you can see the health of the juggernaut on the status board as you're playing the game. So when something is getting close to death. So those are all things that we're like scheming and like excited about for the future.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That sounds cool. Yeah, that's when I was talking with Kyle from KDK, I said, the one thing that when I was talking with Brandon, you were kind of shooting around ideas or whatever for like getting this system into bigger mill sims or whatever, is the medic. Like, you can't really set up a medic station on the field, like where, because people, it's random where they're going to get shot, and they have to stay where they get shot and then have a medic come to them. He goes, nope, I got a fix for that. He made his own medic box. So it looks like a pistol case that he took and repurposed for a medic thing. He cut out a center of it. You guys will all see this next week on the when the video comes out. But he shows it off on the video. But it's like a pistol case that seals up, has foam in it. He put the skirmish box in there and made a slot for the battery. And so he put a LiPo battery in there that hooks up, Dean's connector to the skirmish system. And then you can carry it around. He spray painted it red, cut the center out, put plexiglass in there so you can see the skirmish box in there. He said you can scan through that plexiglass. He said, actually, you can scan through 1.5 inches of wood. It'll read it. He said, I tested it. I said, holy cow, dude, that's amazing. So that, it just, with it being mobile like that, it really opens up a lot of options and opportunities.
At the last Battlefront series, we did the same thing but ours were just more than medic respawns.
Yeah.
We called them our FOBs. So they're the forward operating bases. So they operated as command posts that could be used for respawns for the team that owned them. Yeah. So not only were they areas that were worth points, but your team could essentially get a hold of one of these, scan into it to contest it for your team, and while it was contested over those 10 minutes before it turned into your owned base or your own thing, you could move it wherever you wanted on the field. And once it got to that time, then you could drop it onto the field, and then it stayed there, and you could use that as the mobile respawn area.
Yeah.
We had some really good luck with that, and then we had some bad luck with that because, again, we had players who did not listen to the specific rules that were with that, and they went and started like hiding them places and not telling anybody where they hid them.
Oh God!
So it wasn't until late at night when I was walking around, flipping stuff over for the night game, that like I came across one of these boxes because it started to like drizzle a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And I have in these boxes as well, I have essentially like a motion detector. So like if like an impact goes off or like a grenade goes off nearby, then this box just starts screeching because it doesn't like combat near it because it's unstable. Luckily, there was just a light drizzle that was starting to happen, so it was setting off this forward operating base because it was detecting the vibrations from the rain hitting it. So then I was like, "Oh, I found the lost skirmish box."
That's crazy. Okay.
So that I was lucky to come across that and track that down in that moment, and we kind of changed the rule set around the FOBs and how they work, and it's very similar to what you're describing.
Okay.
for what you're saying that KDK is doing with their box, because now it's something that only medics can carry, and it's always in the hand of a medic until it's taken by another team's medic. So it's a way for the medic characters to essentially set up like triage areas if they want. So like their team can come to them to like respawn if they are there, and they have 2 minutes. So it's like setting up a little triage camp, but it's always in the hand of one of those medic players if it's in play. The other option they can do there is they can like drop it down at designated areas in the field, and that's the extent of where those can go now. Because I don't want to rely on the rain to track down the skirmish box.
Right, exactly. Yeah, what a cool thing though. But so it sounds like Brandon needs to do some kind of transponder in there, a tracking device or something, build it into the box.
Now we have a lot of different tracking devices that we utilize, and I was just hoping, just praying that all the players would listen to all the instructions, but we know how that goes sometimes.
Right.
So I probably will end up dropping a couple of our tracking fobs in that for the next event, just to be sure, just to be safe, because that's not cheap tech to lose. But at least we've reassessed our rules and reassessed how these things will work. So the synergy between how they work, what we want them to do, and for event purposes, the ability to recover them and them always be in the hands of somebody is a good way to keep them from getting lost on the field.
Yeah, one of the things I was telling with when I was talking with Kyle was this is something I think I had said to Brandon a while ago when we talked about it, was that it would be kind of cool to put make it a separate side mission for a bigger event where you put this box, the skirmish box, inside one of those waterproof, like he created this case or whatever for it, and go hide it on the field. Obviously mark it, you guys know where, the admins know where it's at, but and then before the event you tell whoever wants to, whoever finds this thing, they get X amount of bonus points or whatever, and then they, they'd have to scan it to where it shows who scanned it or who found it. It proves who found it. That'd be kind of cool. So there's a lot of options with incorporating these things into missions.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice. So you've got your now. Do you have a bunch of? I'm looking at your bookshelf, looking stuff with your helmets on them. Do you have more since the last time we talked? What kind of stuff have you been building since the last time we talked?
This one was a present, Christmas present, but it's the Scout Trooper.
Nice
helmet. These are really cool. We had I think there were two Scout Troopers at the last event in the like full Scout Trooper armor, but they got the flip up helmet there.
Oh,
like
nice.
The Scout Troopers have. So like if you've just had too much and you just like need a break from being inside your helmet, you can flip it up and put that on. That's one of the Black Series ones that exist. The rest of them, I think, are pretty close, at least on this bookshelf, to the ones that I've had before.
Yeah.
I've made quite a few more, but they're just not in this room. They're in storage for gameplay because they're either like the HK helmet or like the Dark Trooper helmets,
right?
That kind of stuff. But like I said, there's like 8 of those, or like 5. I think I'm going to try to complete the 5 of the Pike helmets for the event series, and roll those out as well.
So so you were talking about that event earlier. What? So when is your next big event that you're prepping for?
Fate's Grasp is at Action Sports Wisconsin in Boston, Wisconsin, and it is May 4th through May 5th. So
Makes sense.
May the 4th be with you, right?
Yes.
We had to do it. I've had my eye on May 4th falling on a Saturday for like the last 3 years. So I knew this day was coming. I set this the event date with Chris a couple of years ago, and now we're getting lined up for it. So it should be a good showing there.
Yeah, I'm actually going to bring this up on the screen, your website, and show that off too, so people can see that. Okay. Fate's Grasp. Okay. Nice. Now, who are these guys in the thumbnail?
So right there on the right hand side, we've got Mark. Oh yeah, you'll want to scroll down. I think for the actual video. I think that's just the screen holder there. But yeah, on right there, that's Mark. He's one of the founders of the Galactic Airsoft Alliance. And then on the left there is Anders from DT Blasterworks, who is one of the Rebel Command as well. So Imperial Command, Rebel Command.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So this is the trailer for it?
Yeah, go ahead and play that one.
Step into the immersive world of the Galactic Civil War, brought to life by the Galactic Airsoft Alliance. Join us for an adrenaline-pumping 2-day event where you'll be thrust into the heart of an epic conflict. Will you choose to fight for the iron grip of the Imperial forces, the daring spirit of the rebellion, or walk the path of the unaffiliated, forging your own destiny? Galactic Civil War isn't just a game. It's an unforgettable experience where your choices matter. Select from a range of character classes, each bestowing unique abilities that will shape your role on the battlefront. But that's not all. Your choice of armor can be the difference between victory and defeat, as it grants you extra bonuses that can turn the tide of battle. Prepare to live out your galactic fantasies like never before. Whether you're a seasoned airsoft enthusiast or a newcomer to LARP, Galactic Civil War offers an opportunity to dive into a galaxy far, far away, filled with excitement, strategy, and camaraderie. Will you uphold the might of the Empire, fight for freedom with the Rebellion, or carve your own path in the cosmos? The choice is yours, and the adventure awaits at Galactic Civil War.
So if you go to my channel there, probably open that up right into YouTube. We've started to release more and more of these videos, and you'll see them on the website as well. We've embedded a lot of them onto the website. But you know, that first suggestion down there, if you scroll down this page a little bit more, you go to playlists. Playlist there. You should see one that is the Galactic Civil War rule set. And in there, we've really started hammering into different aspects of the Galactic Civil War. So like I said, most of these are just embedded onto the website. So if you want to understand the rules more, we go into, minute explanations, or, take each one of those things and dive into what it means to be a bounty hunter. So, you could play the Heat rule set or Bounty Hunters Guild rule set, and it helps explain what our series is doing in a way that is maybe a little bit easier for players to understand.
Yeah, let's see this one.
Serves as a marker for notorious characters in the criminal underworld, represented by an orange band on limbs. Players unlock more jobs and higher payouts as they accumulate heat, but it also makes them a target for Bounty Hunters Guild members. To generate heat, successful participation in criminal activities is key. After completing tasks like smuggling or assassinations, players roll a 50-50 red or blue chance cube. A red roll adds 1 heat band. Admins can also assign heat for witness criminal acts. If a player reaches the maximum of 4 heat bands, a bounty tracking fob might be placed on them. Losing heat involves paying credits to bounty hunters, enlisting in the mercenary guild, or seeking help from a select NPC. When captured by bounty hunters, players with heat must pay 200 credits per band. If short on credits, they can enlist in the mercenary guild, committing 1 hour of service per heat band. Alternatively, players can voluntarily join the mercenary guild, with each 30-minute enlistment removing a heat band. For a unique twist, a special NPC might offer.
Yeah, so the nice thing with all this rule set is eventually, before the event, we'll have one continuous video that we'll be able to play that will allow players to get a full grasp of the rule set. The one thing we're looking at doing probably at this event is setting up an area where players once they've gone through their registration, are able to go and sit through the briefing. And that should save a lot of time in terms of admin, of like trying to round up every single individual player that exists, trying to join the game to get them at the one briefing so we can sit there, for X amount of time going over everything, where we can, give it to players in more digestible amounts, opposed to, doing the 45-minute briefing before our game starts.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, what a good idea, man. I love the how you're doing the explanation videos, the tutorial videos on this, on each of those aspects of the game. I'm sure that came about with, what problems you run into, or, on the field, people don't understand the rules, or somebody missed something or whatever. This is such a good idea to put this out where you can send people over there to just go watch this. Like that one on the heat thing was like a minute and a half. That's a great chunk, a little tiny chunk of video that somebody could watch and understand that part of the game.
And then for the most part, those videos are going to give you the most base level understanding of that aspect of the rules. So at least you have an understanding of what if someone slaps an orange band on me, what the heck does that mean? What's that mean for what's going to happen to my character? At least you understand that there's repercussions happening there.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's a way for us to provide that information in a way that players are able to engage in a little bit more than just reading a rule document or a PDF or something like that. Because I know for the life of me that, everybody these days, the amount of attention that you have on something is fleeting. It has to be quick, has to be delivered fast, it has to be digestible. So, having different ways, we've got the text still available, we've got the full website full of the rules still available, but having this thing that we can drop in front of somebody for like 30 minutes just so they can understand the game at their own leisure, they could watch it while they're in the car, hopefully not when they're driving, but, they could play it on their way to the event. If I bring my friend Bert, who doesn't know anything about Star Wars, I could hand him the phone and give him the full rule set to just watch and digest as it's being put into your head. This is what you're doing for the next 30 minutes, so you don't look like an absolute noob. It's just a way to help players a little bit more with the full understanding of the whole event, whether it's the economy, the bounty hunter system, these different things that they may have questions about. They're all in the rule set, and they're going to have a video associated with them, whether it's the classes, we'll get all those done, the different factions, we'll have some of those for each one of those. But then, like I said before, it's a way for us to be all right, we know you came in, you watched the video, sign off, okay, your chain code card says you're good to go, so we know when everyone's going onto the field, if you haven't sat through this information, then you got to go sit through it before you can even start the game. So,
Very cool, man. Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. I love the amount of thought and effort you guys put into attention to detail and all the different story parts of the game and the factions and all that kind of stuff. It's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is, like I said, this is something that's really interesting for me because as a spectator, I can go watch these videos and see a lot of what's going on and understand, especially now that you have these videos like that where, I could look at the rule sets and understand, oops, there we go, and understand some of these things that are going on with it. It really helps.
Yeah. And that's really what we're just trying to do, is make things easier for the player to understand and to get into, because we know it's a big world that you're stepping into as soon as you try to embark on something like this big and this new for a lot of people who might just be used to just force on forces. So having as much material for people to take as much as they want before they get to the event, because we know there's plenty of people that they might deal with anxiety. They might deal with, certain things that they don't like putting themselves in new situations. And the more that they have, the easier it is for them to get involved into something, because they feel like they're more equipped for those scenarios. We really providing that for players. And at the same time, it might be something that, someone doesn't know if they're going to like it, but then the second they start understanding that there's an experience for everyone to be had at this event and at our events, it isn't something that is just so bottlenecked into being whenever sometimes you say the word LARP, you get everybody gets their own image in their own head of what it is, whether it's people running around in the woods with foam swords or, screaming at each other, lightning bolts, or, there's a lot that can go into the connotation of a LARP.
That's true.
Really, at the end of the day, it's a live action role play. For the most part, when you go to a mil sim, you're role playing as a military soldier. That's
exactly.
You're already doing that, and guess what? The live action is already there. So, unfortunately, at your Mil Sim West game, at your AMS game, you are LARPing.
Exactly.
But I would say that we're doing it a little bit more ridiculously and a little bit more flamboyantly, because as soon as you put a cape on, you've taken the next step. You've crossed the line, right?
Yeah.
Ours are space capes or butt capes. They're not actual capes. So there's still division there. But like I said before, there's literally anything for anybody. That was the cool thing at the last event at Action Sports Wisconsin. Me and the owner were talking about it, and he's supported the event series, since day one when I came to talk to him about maybe doing one in the future. And that was, 4 years ago or something like that, before Galactic Airsoft Alliance even existed, and it was just me and him shooting the shit one day because I rolled up in a Mandalorian outfit to his field. But it was us talking back and forth, and finally we did the rock, and he saw what was kind of happening there, and he's like, yeah, let's do it, let's do one here too. So it was cool to see in his eyes, something that. And he's always been a big proponent of doing more LARP events like Tarkov and stuff. But to go as far out to do something like we're doing, and seeing the success and seeing players he didn't think would get involved in with one of these events or get behind it or even enjoy it after they've tried it, because maybe it's their local field and they just go to all the events anyway just to go. But then to see them enjoy it so much and get locked in, because he's okay, there's definitely something cool going on here. So, and he's, like I said, he's always been supportive, but seeing the buy-in from everyone who attended was just massive for that boost. So we're very excited to come back again and build on last year's story.
Dude, that's great. Yeah, I love to hear success stories and with the airsoft events and the bigger events and the fields that they work with, and that's always a good. It's always a good thing,
For sure. And the best thing is usually they try to take the week off, when a third party or whatever comes in, so they just try to not be involved, and they just take a breather. And he was always there for support if we needed it, but in terms of being involved in the event or admin purposes, he wasn't really there in that function.
Sure.
Because it's our event, and we essentially rent out the field for the weekend and do our rules and do all that stuff. But he's already yep, I'm locked in. I'm definitely participating, and me and the whole team, the whole crew are already excited to come and play the event series.
Exactly.
It's always cool to hear.
Yeah, for sure, man. Awesome, dude. It's been great talking with you again and catching up. It's been. Yeah, I'm really excited about this event coming up. I'm looking at your website. It looks like the tickets are on sale now, right?
Yep, they're available at Hefe's Airsoft Solutions. So if you go to our website, which is galacticcivil.war.com, you can go ahead and get locked into your team there, to your affiliation.
Hefe's Airsoft. Hell yeah, nice.
Heck yeah.
I love Hefe. Shout out to Hefe Airsoft. I love working with him as well. I'll probably. I just recently started the sponsorship thing up for the podcast again, so that's why
cool.
I talked with Brandon, and just the last couple of podcasts have been. I started doing the sponsorship again. I'll have to hit up Hefe about it too. So I took a break for a while on the podcast since last August. The end of August, I didn't do any in August at all. And then I think I only did just a handful, a couple of them before the end of the year. Yeah. And I finished, my goal was to hit 300 episodes before, like right around, like episode 300, right around New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
But I didn't hit that. I had some medical issues, and so it kind of put a halt on things. And then January I wanted to start back up. So I'm kind of just getting rolling again, man. I really missed it.
Well, it doesn't seem like you skipped a beat, man. You still got it. So
I appreciate it. Yeah, man. It's well, I'm just really excited to talk with people, so it's very cool. And I love to hear all the new things that are going on, especially when you go, when you're off for a few months and you come back, it's like, okay, oh, you got this going on, or somebody, it's the same thing happening that happened before where, when I talked with I talked with Brandon, he says, oh, I talked with 6mm about his event, and we worked with his event. I was like, what? Oh, I got to talk to him. Okay. So, yeah. It kind of leads to another podcast with someone else about, a certain thing. So yeah, this is awesome. So you can go to, I'll have these links on here as well for your event. And you know what I love that's built into here, when you click on the different factions, it shows how many tickets are left.
Yep.
For that particular. So unaffiliated, you have 70 in stock right now. Rebel 30, 95 in Imperial, and yeah, what a good setup. Okay. Yeah, I'll have the link in here for all that too.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. I mean, we try to keep things as streamlined as possible. So, I mean, our website has basically the key to get to wherever you need. Our Discord just got over 500 members there.
Nice.
So you can always jump in the Discord. We've got the link there under community and our Galactic Airsoft or Galactic Civil War webpage.
Yep.
Also, Galactic Airsoft Alliance on Facebook. You can search that down, and that's a good way for you to get a hold of, the player base. A little over 1,000, 200, 300 players in that as well.
Nice.
So, they're all over the world, and a lot of them haven't even touched an event yet, but they're all people with similar, we like airsofting, we like Star Wars, so we like to see all the stuff about that. The Discord is really focused on the event, so whether it's people like how to put together a kit, or I'm on a limited budget, like what do you guys recommend so I can go attend this event, and what can I expect, or even like a tab that's straight up affiliated with the rules. So it's like, okay, I've got a question about this particular rule set. How does this apply to this situation or this scenario as I'm trying to like develop my character and like finite my loadout and get that figured out. Like, we've got a good admin staff that's always watching it. I'm always a part of those discussions if I need to be, and it's not getting answered by somewhere else or someone else. So it's a great way to build that community as well, as people are putting their kits together and showing them off and sharing. It's one of those cool things that we watch people come in who don't know anything about anything when it comes to like cosplay or like designing a Mandalorian costume, and then you see them put out these really cool kits because there's a lot of good resources. We can point them to the best areas of like this one, when you shoot it with a minigun that doesn't explode, so we recommend this type of armor, or we like this one, or
all right,
we can share our expertise, because when you think of cosplay, it's very defined. It's very much the same people who are doing cosplay, and they're the ones who are standing in an air-conditioned convention center with their kits on
right.
for 4 or 5 hours, versus the people at Galactic Civil War who are wearing their Mandalorian armor for 30 hours straight, and also kind of still need to be able to move around and like do fun stuff and like cut people if they need to, and then like
exactly.
Just having those different aspects of, players who have participated in multiple events, or maybe they wear their kits out to their regular weekend field games. So they talk about what's the best way to attach armor, or what's the best way to like not die of heat stroke, and what's the best way to like, do all these things. Or, it'd be real nice to have a helmet on and still be able to see my enemy. So what are you guys doing with that? So we've got answers for just about everything that exists. So I mean, the way we've been talking this whole time is my built-in headset that's in my helmet is Bluetooth to my computer. So the audio you're getting from me is the audio that other times you would hear through like my radio. So it's Bluetoothed up to my Baofeng, and like that's how I talk to people on the field is like little push talk button on my gauntlet here, and I can talk to my buddies using the built-in headset. And like still being able to hear with that amplification system in. So it's like, yeah, I want to make it look cool, but I also want to make it functional. So
yeah, right.
And that's what everyone is trying to do in that situation too. Because I mean, the rule of cool is great, but like if you can't fight someone or engage someone, then it's like kind of plays down that whole cool factor.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, especially if you can't see. If you can't see, then it's pointless, okay? Or hear.
Yeah,
so man.
That's one thing that you hear from a lot of the newer players as they're getting involved is they get their helmet all set up and they get it ready to go, and then they get out to like a weekend game and they're like, I need fans in my helmet. And then the next step is like, I also need to be able to hear when the fans are on in my helmet. So
no kidding.
This layer on layer. Trying to figure this stuff out. Like I said, there's plenty of things that we found that work with it. So, it's just building that community to be able to answer those questions as they come up.
I remember when we first started filming gameplay, when my sons started filming gameplay, and they got an Xfog and they hooked it up. So they'd already had their GoPro set up on their helmet. Everything's good, figured all that stuff out. And then the first game they went to play with recording with the Xfog in, the vibration, of course, it's attached to the helmet. Well, that was all of that sound was transferring to, up through the GoPro mount, all that plastic, all, because it's hard connected, right? It's like you've got it's contact points that are transferring this vibration really loud, and you could not hear anything on the GoPro except the hum.
The whole time. You're like, oh no.
I said, I guess we could do like a voiceover, just tell the story. And so little things like that you don't think of until you figure it out.
Yep, 100%.
Nice. Well, awesome, man.
Thanks again for having me on, man.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and look forward to talking with you again soon about this. Maybe after this event, we'll have. What I need to do is get with some of your guys from your team that have helped set it up and run these events, and people I haven't talked with before.
For sure, I'm sure they would love to be on. You could hear, a different point of view.
Good, man. All right, brother. Looking forward to the next event. Everyone go check out 6mm Mandalorian on YouTube, and I'll have all the links on here, Instagram and all that, Facebook. And I'm glad you're growing on there, man. That's good.
Awesome. Well,
all right, brother.
See you again. Thank you.
Have a good night.